Grab that cup of coffee. Let's get after it. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Craig Bennett, aka Cash Cake, back with an Underdog Fantasy Pick'em video. And Underdog has a massive special for you here. You got to jump on this promo. It ends on October 4th, so you only have a few more days to jump on this. But for first-time users, they have a match up to $500. Yes, $500. You don't see these that often, so jump on it. Get that match. We give out plays every day inside of our Daily Edge Sports website and our premium Discord. And also, if you want to see videos like this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll do my best to get out some videos like this to help you out. But again, don't miss a chance on this promo. And let's get after it and talk about a little bit of football. Let's go. All right, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is up on the board here. Again, they got a sweet mobile app you can download as well, both in the Google and Apple Store. I am going to talk about a few plays that we do like. Did another video this morning. I will link it at the end of this. So I don't want to talk about the same plays that we did talk about earlier, but I thought we'd go through a few players and kind of talk about it because they do have some interesting plays on this. The one thing you don't notice here on the website compared to if you have your iOS pulled up on the app, you'll see some of these like chilies. And you get a multiplier for some of these guys. And one of the plays that I do like that you're not going to see it up here, I already talked about it in another previous video. I do like DK Metcalf's over receiving yards. I'm not going to go into that analysis a ton here because what I do like, again, you're not going to see it here, is actually his rushing and receiving touchdowns over half. It's a 1.25x multiplier here. And he got a touchdown the first game against the Rams. But the last two games got there in yards at 75 and 112 on 6 and 7 targets. Like I said, Debo went off against these guys, just last week. I think Metcalf's going to have a massive game here. So I do like his receiving yards, but I do like his touchdowns. Again, you're not going to see it here. You're only going to see it on the iOS if you download it. And it's at a 1.25x multiplier. So I just thought I'd mention it. It's one of the plays I like to mix and match going forward, but I'll throw his receiving yards up here, but I think that's one you got to kind of take into account a little bit as you're looking at that a little bit. A couple of the other ones that are kind of interesting, if it's going to be a close game like Vegas says it is with DK Metcalf, 3 first downs. If we kind of look at the last 3 games, again, that game against the Rams, they lost. He only had 2 first downs. The last 2 games, he had 4 and 5. He's going to catch some balls down the field. So I don't mind if you want to take a chance at higher than 3 first downs. Again, he's cleared it in his last 2 games, catching 4 and 5 balls for first downs. So if you're looking at that, I don't really love targets at 7.5. He hasn't reached that at all this year. I'm not saying he can't, but it's a spot where I don't really want to take that. I like the first downs. I like the touchdowns. I like the receiving yards. Yards after catch, don't absolutely love it. It's one that if we look at his 3 games this year, 11, 7, and 27, I think a lot of the balls he's going to catch are going to be, towards the end zone. Still going to get a couple yards, but down the field a little bit. So I prefer the receiving yards over the yards after catch for him, but first downs are definitely in play as well. If you want to look at receptions, I'm okay with it, but I still prefer receiving yards. Reception-wise, again, he caught 6 balls each of the last 2 games. But again, if you download the iOS, you can get the rushing and receiving TDs for 1.25x. The other guy we're going to look at here, we're going to go over to Waller for the Giants, going up against a team that should be able to, that's given up a ton of points to wide receivers. They're okay against tight ends, but he's their best weapon that they do have. And 47.5 is a little bit too low here. I think you can take the 47.5 for Darren Waller. He's, the one competitive game they had against Arizona, he ended up putting up 7 targets, caught 6 balls for 76 yards. And the other 2 games, it just got the brakes beat off of them against Dallas and San Francisco. So it's hard to really take those into account. Again, saw 7 targets, caught 3 balls last week. So 4 receptions, I guess you could look at. I like the reception yards. Yards after catch, again, is interesting. Those 3 games, 12, 26, and 4. So the one competitive game, he did get over that at the 26 yards. If we think it's going to be a high scoring game back and forth, if you're going to build lineups that correlate a little bit together, I don't mind if you want to look at the yards after catch or receiving yards. I think both of them are viable here, depending on what you want to look at. But I kind of think it's going to be a high scoring game, kind of like Vegas says, and a little back and forth. Waller's going to be involved here. You just got to catch the ball. We'll throw the receiving yards up here, but the yards after catch, I think, are definitely viable on the slate. And then the one that we have a ton of stuff to talk about, some interesting stuff too, Geno Smith. We'll just kind of go over and talk about a lot of his projections that they do have up here on the site here at Underdog. And I'll talk about a few that I do like. One that I do like is completions at 21.5. In the last two games that they did win, he put up 32 completions and 23. If you go out and look at some of the books that are out there, the juice is on the over on that one. Completion percentage is 67.2. I wouldn't really touch that. He's cleared it once this game. That was against Detroit. It was 78%. The other two games, 61.5, 63.9, something that's a pretty high percentage. I don't think I would really look at that. Maybe even lean the under here, because that's a pretty high percentage to hit. But I'm going to leave that alone. First downs is one I think you can look at. And the two games, again, that he did win here against Detroit and Carolina, 19 and 14, cleared that both times. The game that they lost pretty bad against LA didn't do well at all. He only had 7 first downs, but that's to be expected. If you're going to have a high scoring game, these are where you're looking at taking higher than the projection that's sitting there, because the ball's going to be moved around quite a bit. So if you want to take a shot at 13 passing first downs, I think it's viable. I prefer the completions though. If you're looking for one play for Geno Smith, that's where I would look at. And then if you're looking for a second one, I would probably be first downs or touchdowns. He's only cleared more than 1.5 passing touchdowns once this year. It was on the road at Detroit, where they had that game. I believe that was an overtime game as well. Let me pull it up. Yeah, that was a game against. Yeah, that was an OT game against Detroit, where they won 37-31 on the road, and then he had 2 touchdown passes there. So again, a spot I don't mind looking at him to go higher than those. Projection at 1.5 passing touchdowns. If you want to mix and match that, again with the slate, this one game slate like this, I like mixing and matching some of these guys. And again, completion is probably my favorite. Then it'd be passing first downs or passing touchdowns is where I would look here. So those are 3 plays that we're kind of looking at a little bit here. Again, don't pass up that match, up to $500 match. Don't pass that up. Get in there, get after it. We put up Underdog picks every day inside our Daily Edge Sports Discord. So again, all the links are in the description below. Enjoy your Monday. Hopefully we get a competitive game here, and it's not like last week where San Francisco just beat the brakes off the Giants. I think we're going to see a competitive game here, see some points. Again, appreciate you guys. See you guys on the flip side. Deuces.